Hey everybody, this is Shane. I have another toy review. Now, not every single thing in my collection is a Transformer or a Halo figure. The vast majority of what I have is Halo and Transformers, but not everything is from those two particular series, those two kinds of lines. I do collect whatever appeals to me, to be perfectly honest. And one of the things I actually do really enjoy is the world of anime, Japanese animation. Well, what I have right here is a Edward Elric from the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood line put out by Square Enix Play Arts. Now, most people are familiar with Square Enix for the Final Fantasy series of games, of RPGs. I personally don't play Final Fantasy. I'm not into RPGs. But I do know it's a good and reputable line of games, actually. Matter of fact, my brother likes Final Fantasy and other RPGs. But Square Enix Play Arts, on the other hand, they do very detailed, usually highly articulated action figures. Now, aside from Fullmetal Alchemist, a couple other lines I do know they have done in the Play Arts line include Resident Evil 5, and I might surprise some of you, but Halo Reach. They have done all 6 members of Noble Team, plus a couple other multiplayer Spartans. But that's enough about those. Before I start ranting about those, I'm just going to get to the figure itself. Now, I don't have all of his accessories. I couldn't find them right before I started recording this. And trust me, I looked through all my crap. I don't know where his other accessories are, but he would have also came with an extra set of arms that were black, which would match his jacket right underneath his cloak. Well, his coat, rather. He also came with an extra set of fists, which were closed. And he also came with an extra hand for his right hand. There were occasions on the show where he would perform alchemy to form a little blade with his hand. This figure came with that blade, that little blade hand. I'm just not too sure where it's at. But the coat itself is soft rubber. I mean, it's like really soft rubber. And it's got the family crest on the back of the coat, which I thought was a pretty nice little touch. Now, as for the articulation of the figure itself, first off, let me pop out his right arm, just give an idea. Why his right arm? Because that's his automail arm, and it don't matter. But the very base of each arm is on a ball. Let me see if I can get the light in there, but you can see it just pops right in there, just a little plunger-like pop to let you know it's in there. There we go. But each arm does rotate like this and swing out like so. You can actually feel it when you move it. But there's articulation just below the shoulder. There's a couple of points in the elbow right here. You can see a spot there and there. So you can really put his hands in some poses like you might see him do in the show, with his occasional hand or hands behind his head. But you can have him in those poses. The hand rotates a full 360 degrees. It bends backwards, folds forward. So, as I said, you can really have him in some poses if you want to. Both arms have that articulation. As for the legs, his legs, I believe, are also on a ball joint, because they swing out like so. They rotate just below the hip right here. He's got articulation in his knee. I believe that's about as far back as his knees don't go. And he's also got articulation in his feet. Now that's for both of his feet. well, both of his legs rather. But he does have some okay balance, but the way I'm generally able to get him to balance is either spread his feet wide, spread his legs wide, or just have his body tilted forward. If I haven't mentioned, which I don't think I have, he also has a little joint right down here which connects his upper body to his lower. But give me an idea how much articulation this figure has. One of the extra accessories he would have came with was actually a little base about yay so, which had a clear piece coming up through it that you just clip Edward onto. So if there was a particular pose from the show you wanted to have him in, you can have him in that pose. Now, aside from the arms, the extra fist, the blade hand, the base, he came with one more accessory, which I was able to find right before I started doing this, but he came with an extra hand. It came with an extra head. And here it is. It's basically a little evil, smart-ass smirk. To be perfectly frank, I always did find that smirk kind of creepy in the show, because it generally told me he was up to something. Or he figured something out. But he came with two heads, an extra set of arms, extra set of fists, the little hand blade, a base. Now, just because I can. Why? Because it's funny. Now, my overall opinion, is this a good figure? Yes, this is actually a really good figure. Square Enix Play Arts, they don't screw around with their figures. In my personal opinion, I would probably rate them equal to, if not a little higher than, McFarlane Toys. Because they do put as much detail into their figures. They give them a lot of articulation, some really good posability. But overall, this is a dead solid figure. I acquired this figure at the Middle Tennessee Anime Convention in April 2010. I got him because his English voice actor is Vic Mignogna. I'll be honest with you, I'm a Vic Mignogna fan. I've met him more times than I care to admit. But I wanted to have a figure of a character he was well known for. The other figures that came with this line included Edward Elric, which would be his brother's soul attached to a suit of armor. That figure came up to about here. Well, actually came up to about here on him. And there was also a Colonel Roy Mustang, which I believe came up to about here on him. So, needless to say, both figures towered over Edward. But then again, Edward was short anyway. But overall, it's a dead solid figure. He's very well detailed. If you like Fullmetal Alchemist, I'd get him. If you like anime in general, I'd get him. He's always a good character to have in your collection. But that's just my take on the Square Enix Play Arts Edward Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. You all have a good day.